above all else. Every other discipline has something more concrete to rely on. Scientists have experiments, economists data, anthropologists participant observation, historians documents, archaeologists artifacts, and so on. Philosophers have no special store of information. Their unique skill is the ability to think without a safety net. If we want to know how to think better without resort to specialist knowledge, it is hard to find better models. However, standard outlines of the principles of philosophical reasoning leave out what is most important. Students of philosophy learn the rules of logical deduction, lists of fallacies to avoid, explanations of the difference between inductive and abductive reasoning, and so forth. These are all important, but by themselves they are not enough. It's like driving. Most motorists know how to change gears, what the speed limits are, and so on. The difference between good and bad drivers is not primarily a matter of principles and techniques. It's the attitude they have to their driving which is essential, how much care and attention they pay, how motivated they are to drive properly, how thoughtful they are to other road users. Similarly, thinking is about attitudes as well as techniques. Having the right attitudes is philosophy's own X factor. Call it the P factor. It's what elevates the best philosophers above those who have all the logical chops but lack insight. Like the elusive X factor, the P factor defies precise definition. It's a kind of virtue, by which I do not mean eating organic oat bran or doing good works. Virtue, in the ancient Greek philosophical sense, simply means the habits, attitudes, and character traits that are conducive to living and thinking well. The approach to reasoning known as virtue epistemology, epistemology meaning the theory of knowledge, holds that good reasoning requires certain habits and attitudes of thought, not simply mastery of formal procedures that could be programmed into a computer. The importance of epistemic virtue has been more appreciated in academic philosophy in recent decades, but still not enough, and word has not yet got out. It's time it was granted its proper place at the heart of good thinking. Over more than 30 years of studying, reading, writing and talking about philosophy, often with philosophers, I have become convinced that without the P factor of epistemic virtue, critical thinking skills are little more than highbrow party tricks which give users the ability to impress with the dexterity of their thoughts and to rip the arguments of others to shreds. I want to identify what sets genuinely good reasoning apart from mere cleverness. Clever thinkers who lack the P factor are tiresome, boring, and cannot help with philosophy's historical mission to enable us to understand the world and each other better. My interest is not only in what makes for a good philosopher, but what makes for good thinking about anything. So this book does not just aim to provide insights into philosophical problems and how philosophers have thought about them. I also want to show how philosophical habits of thought apply in politics, general problem solving, self-care, and making sense of the world. I will draw on dozens of interviews I have conducted for magazine articles and books with some of the world's leading philosophers and thinkers over many years. I have found that many have made asides or tangential comments about how they work, which are much more revealing than those that come out of overt discussion of philosophical method. I also refer to many of the great philosophical works of all time. Most of my examples will come from the tradition of Western philosophy in which I was educated, but the principles are universal, as the more occasional references to the rest of the world's philosophies remind us. Historically, women have not been given as much voice as men in philosophy, so although I will cite many brilliant female philosophers, inevitably the cast list is skewed towards the patriarchy. I will be looking at the many traps that await the would-be skilled reasoner. Like any tool, reasoning can be misapplied and misused, even with the best of intentions. One feature of virtue epistemology is a need for vigilance and modesty. Beware of anyone who believes they are a brilliant thinker. True geniuses are rarely dazzled by their own reflections. Another thing that I hope distinguishes this book from other smart thinking tomes is that I do not shy away from the sheer difficulty of thinking well. An invitation to think like a philosopher would be disingenuous if it disguised the challenge of